What's going on, everybody? This is your boy JPTHEGLOVE74. I'm back with another video. Today, I'm going to react to Sports TNA Wrestling, how AJ Styles became TNA's biggest star. When you think of TNA Wrestling, who is the one person you think of out of everybody? Who is that one person you think of? AJ Styles. To me, when I first started watching TNA, the first guy I saw was AJ Styles, and AJ was the reason I got hooked into TNA Wrestling. Now I've not been watching TNA Wrestling off and on, but for the first few years when I started watching it, AJ Styles was my guy growing up. It was him, Samoa Joe, Daniels, and also Kurt Angle was coming, Kurt Angle, Sting, Christian Cage, and all of them were coming in. So I've always considered AJ the biggest star in TNA Wrestling, the face of TNA Wrestling, because in my opinion, his matches, his personality, and also how he made his opponents look good, and also the amazing matches he had makes him the face of TNA Wrestling. Now in the corporate eyes, they really truly never understood AJ Styles. They never got him. They pretty much did see AJ Styles as the face of the company. They all say no, it's Kurt Angle, it's Sting, it's Hulk Hogan, it's Christian Cage. It's pretty much all the XW guys instead of the homegrown talent, which in my opinion almost killed TNA Wrestling, because they have so much talent on that roster. If you think, let's see, you got AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, James Storm, Chris Harris. You got Bobby Roode, who did became world champion. Bobby Roode, Kazarian, Christopher Daniels, P. Williams, Chris Sabin, the Monster Machine Gun. I mean, you had a collection of one of the greatest rosters ever, except for great young talent, your homegrown talent, and they were pretty much put in the back burner for the XW guys. So yeah, you can tell Dixie Carter was she was never a wrestling fan. She didn't get wrestling. She really didn't get it. Like she wanted to be WWE Light instead of being an alternative. So yeah, but yeah, I really do miss AJ Styles and TNA Wrestling. So we're gonna get into this video of how he became TNA's biggest star. If this is your first time, this is your boy JPTHEGLOVE74. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and let's get into this.
Many of you may know AJ Styles for his incredible run that he's still on in WWE.
Yep.
Where it only took him 5 years to become a Grand Slam champion.
Which is crazy.
A lot of times in WWE, they're referencing how long it took for someone to get to the big leagues. And for Styles, they're referencing nearly 2 decades before he was associated with the company. But have you ever wondered what happened in those 12 to 18 years before WWE? Yes, fans, there is more wrestling than WWE.
Yep,
and Mr. Styles was Mr. TNA.
He will always be
One of the
Mr.
best
TNA.
wrestlers in the world, not signed to WWE for a long time. But to TNA, Impact Wrestling itself, he was often underlooked or just not utilized to the utmost potential you think he might be.
They never saw him face TNA Wrestling.
Get into the comments below and let us know your favorite matches and moments with AJ Styles. Though some have argued that AJ Styles in TNA Impact Wrestling was never figured as the guy of the company, he may have had the greatest career to come out of TNA and jump to another promotion, and was fans' choice as the face of the company for a significant period of his time there. If you were to ask AJ Styles himself, he was never the face of TNA.
Yep, he did.
On the Mark Andrews My Love to Wrestling podcast, Styles said, "I don't think I was ever the guy for them, at least in their eyes." With a whopping 18 championships captured in the span of 12 years, let's take a little retrospective look at AJ Styles' TNA career and why he never truly became the face of the company that was once clear number 2 to WWE. AJ Styles at one point more than 20 years ago was close to signing a developmental deal with WWE.
He did, he was.
But he opted not to because it would interfere with his wife's college education, and he eventually found a home for himself in the then newly established breakout promotion of TNA. He was even signed to an exclusive contract at first, But within the first few major pay-per-view weekly events, Styles became the inaugural X Division champion, being the man to truly bring that division of cruiserweights to the map it needed to be put on.
He put the exhibition.
But to
He
top
put the
it off,
exhibition on the
he
map.
even
But he
became
was one of
the
the
NWA
reasons that
Tag
happened.
Team champion alongside Jerry Lynn. This occurred during the early stages of TNA when they were a weekly pay-per-view product. Yes, a unique presentation. As TNA fought to find its foothold, it would see established names frequent the roster in clashes with the fresh faces, with this element seeing Styles defeating X-Pac for the X Division title. Styles continued to fight his way up the TNA ladder with wins over Ron Killings and Larry Zbyszko. But on the 33rd total nonstop action pay-per-view event from Tennessee Fairgrounds in Nashville, Jeff Jarrett, with that hometown advantage, was able to retain the title over AJ Styles. And that title being the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. His first crack at a world title just wasn't successful. Styles would once again work his way up the ladder, tag teaming with D'Lo Brown, getting blocked along the way by the mind games of Raven. Styles began to make moves once again to become the next NWA World Champion, defeating Jarrett and Raven in a triple threat match in June of 2003 in Nashville. It's worth noting that Styles' impact on winning his world title is also kind of limited, because it was really about Vince Russo interfering and smashing Jeff Jarrett with a guitar.
It's always
Styles'
Vince
first run
Russo.
with the NWA World title wasn't that much of a needle mover. He did best D'Lo Brown in a best-of-3 series, got revenge, and retained the title against Raven. Heck, he even beat Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, that was crazy as well.
With the ref bump down, Jeff Jarrett would smash AJ Styles with the NWA World title to win back the championship in October of 2003. And now, villainous Jeff Jarrett used all the dastardly tactics and all the assistance he could to fend off AJ Styles, and successfully, with a guitar smash and the help of Kid Cash, retained the title against Styles in December of 2003. Double J does it again. Styles would make an odd detour into one of those how can they coexist tag teams with another TNA franchise player, the Monster Abyss.
Yeah, these two had really great matches
still
together.
Wanting to be single stars on their own.
They had really great
even had a
chemistry.
tables match over who would control the tag team titles. Yeah, weird, convoluted TNA in the early 2000s. Styles got smashed through that table, but the feud ended with Styles getting a world title shot off the back of Abyss. Despite the influence of Raven and Vince Russo outside the steel cage, AJ Styles once again able to fend off Jeff Jarrett's dirty tactics, kicking the guitar out of his hands this time inside the steel cage and rolling him up to once again become the NWA World Champion in April of 2004. Yes, but first comes the spring and an unfortunate summer, with the odds stacked against him in the multi-man mayhem of the King of the Mountain match in June. Styles would lose the NWA World title back to guess who? Jeff Jarrett at the 100th TNA pay-per-view
It's always
event.
Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, once again, a fleeting flirtation with gold for AJ. So what's a lonely AJ Styles to do? Well, he goes back to the X Division and recaptures that title from Frankie Kazarian. Has a fleeting match with Jeff Hardy that doesn't really go anywhere. It was during this title reign that AJ got to be a part of the first time ever true Let's Test Those No Limits style match of Ultimate X.
That match,
That's right. Hanging the title by this contraption above the six-sided ring, and just really
this match was legendary. It is one of the best matches in TNA history.
But it didn't serve the best purpose for AJ Styles, as he would lose the championship there. He would then have a grudge feud with Kid Cash before finding his way back into the X Division title scene in a great six-way championship match with Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, Kazarian, and Kid Cash at TNA Impact. Yeah, at this point, TNA is on TV filming in Orlando. The competition in the mid-card of TNA at the time was pretty fierce, and it wasn't just a foregone conclusion that AJ Styles would get the X Division Championship every time he challenged for it. Petey Williams was able to successfully retain it against him at the Victory Road 2004 pay-per-view event, with the title dangling once again above the ring in the Ultimate X match. AJ Styles would get his high-flying redemption, defeating Chris Sabin and Petey Williams to once again become the X Division champion. But it was around this time that he would face and meet on television for the first time one of his greatest rivals, the fallen angel, AJ Styles. They would face off in a 30-minute Iron Man match at the Against All Odds pay-per-view.
Which was a good match,
Styles coming out the winner. It was around this time in 2005 that AJ Styles was truly being regarded as one of the best minute-for-minute, pound-for-pound pro wrestlers in the world.
Oh, yes.
And really helping TNA and its X division stand out as a pure wrestling action-based product. Emphasis on total non-stop action.
Yep.
Now, of course, Styles having great dance partners like Christopher Daniels at the time truly helped. Ultimate X would prove to be yet another problem for the Phenomenal One, as Christopher Daniels would get the title from him, once again dangling above the ring, in a match that also featured Primetime and Raw and Killings. Styles would once again attempt to ascend the world title mountain with an elevated sense of hype at this point in his career. And he would get to headline his first real pay-per-view main event.
Match was legendary
TNA
too.
Lockdown 2005.
One of my favorite matches ever. One of my favorite matches.
But he had a real challenge here to get to that next world title level.
Those two put on a hell of a match.
Abyss.
They put on a hell of a match.
Pounds of unpredictable, uncontrollable monster, as Mike today described on commentary. Styles did not disappoint in his first real pay-per-view main event, bleeding red and powerbombing a giant on thumbtacks to get that world title shot. Styles would once again challenge, guess who, Double J Jeff Jarrett for the NWA world title at the Hard Justice pay-per-view. And who would be the special guest referee? Well, yes, the Huntington Beach bad boy himself, MMA megastar Tito Ortiz. A bunch of shenanigans. Monty Brown comes in for the pounce, but hits Jeff Jarrett. And then Jeff Jarrett does a low blow in front of Tito Ortiz, and then he gets to do it with him, and then Tito Ortiz punches him out. Styles hits the spiral tap from the top rope. Everyone goes crazy, and AJ Styles is once again the world champion. Just when you thought TNA was finally going to go with Styles as their guy, so once again bit by the odds of a multi-man title match. The King of the Mountain, yes, a reverse ladder match. It only lasted a month or so, and once again, Styles would lose the title, this time to Raven. Are we starting to see a pattern here with TNA and how they treat AJ Styles? It's a bit odd that TNA had Styles jump back into the X division as if nothing ever happened, like they didn't invest all that time.
They never truly
with AJ Styles and TNA would continue with the Super X tournament in 2005, where he would go through the ranks, defeating Petey Williams, Matt Bentley, X-Pac, and then the tournament final, where he would lose to another one of his greatest opponents of all time.
That was a good match,
Samoa Joe. That went down at the Sacrifice pay-per-view. That tournament final was to determine who would face Christopher Daniels for the X Division Championship. And considering that Daniels himself had a little nasty, dusty interference in there, it meant that we were going to get a triple threat.
And this
triple threat. Samoa Joe, Styles, and Daniels.
Ain't for the greatest TNA match of all time.
Now, this match, to many, was the greatest match in TNA history. A match that put them on the map. A match that proved they could hang in there and deliver my favorite TNA match of all time. At a level that WWE was doing. You need to watch it to understand it. But you aren't going to find many matches with this level of psychology, pacing, speed for 23 straight minutes. Three guys absolutely at the peak of what they can do. And believe me, the action did not stop in this one. The match managed to put all three men on the list of the best professional wrestlers in the world at the time. AJ Styles cracked the top 10 of the PWI 500 that year. Although you could argue that AJ Styles didn't need to become a 5-time X Division champion by winning this match, and that Samoa Joe would have been a bigger beneficiary from it, it didn't really matter because the match was so goddamn good.
It was still good.
It was the true glory period of the X Division, with the title changing hands from Styles to Joe to Daniels to Joe to Styles to Daniels, and you get the drift of where we're going here. Styles was becoming such a bankable star for TNA, not a main eventer just yet, that he was featured not once, but twice on the Bound for Glory pay-per-view that year. Eventually, Styles learned that some of his greatest rivals could be some of his greatest teammates. He would align himself with Christopher Daniels to have a really great tag team. seeing them chase America's Most Wanted before going after LAX, who they would take the NWA World Tag
Those
Team
two teams
titles
had
from
really
at
good feud.
Slammiversary 2006. As if you thought he couldn't take the X division to new heights, well, he went and did it with the tag team division as well.
He did.
Along with Daniels, they would have the first tag team Ultimate X match against LAX, retaining the titles in that big risky match. As if AJ couldn't take the X division to new heights, he would do that with tag team wrestling as well. Him and Daniels would defeat LAX for the titles in the Ultimate X at No Surrender. The titles would go back to LAX at Bound for Glory 2006. Only a few days later, AJ Styles would once again get gold around his waist inside the Impact Zone. Yes, winning the Fight for the Right tournament and recapturing the X Division Championship, this time from Chris Sabin. After getting the XD title back for the 6th and final time, he lost it to Christopher Daniels, his tag team partner, once now his rival. And at the next pay-per-view, Genesis, he failed to get it off CD. Interference led to Styles losing to Christian Cage. Following this, Rhino, yes, the ECW veteran, tried to be a mediator between Styles and Daniels, with Styles attacking Rhino and beating him in a series of matches in what would probably be one of the most one-sided feuds of his career. Yeah, it was a gory period for Styles. He got his ass kicked at Final Resolution, Against All Odds, and Destination X, all by Rhino. There was a true sense of the elevated stars from other companies coming over to TNA, and the homegrown talent of TNA simply not being featured nearly as much, and maybe not getting those big wins that were needed. This was in place in the 10-man Lethal Lockdown Steel Cage match at the Lockdown event in 2007, Team Angle, that featured Kurt Angle, Jeff Jarrett, Rhino, Samoa Joe, and Sting, defeating Team Cage, which featured Styles, along with Abyss, Christian Cage, Scott Steiner, and Tomko. In the aftermath of the defeat at the hands of Team Angle, Styles and Tomko tagged together and became TNA World Tag Team Champions.
They actually did.
Styles, looking to elevate his stature, would join Kurt Angle's alliance, but things wouldn't go smoothly since Styles was accused of having an affair with Karen Angle before she became
Who was that?
Yeah. You know, this was that time you could do those type of weird, crazy storylines. To make matters worse, Tomko betrayed AJ Styles, choosing Angle over Christian and Styles, and wound up quitting the Angle alliance anyway because of the constant accusations and the supposed affair. The fallout from the Angle-Christian story, which was an attempt to maybe give Styles something to do that didn't involve chasing a championship, really led to a new guard versus an old established guard story, reaching the point where Kurt Angle was sent to help AJ Styles from an attack at the hands of Booker T, Tomko, and the Dudley Boys, or Team 3D as they were known by then, and only to turn on Styles himself. Yeah, this is confusing. Sting, on the other hand, tried to stop Samoa Joe from a rampage assault on Booker T, only to be given the middle finger himself. He would finally snap and turn. Eventually, Styles and Samoa Joe disrespected the value of the veterans. It was a good story because you could see the logic of both perspectives. In October of 2008, the lineup of Kurt Angle, Sting, Booker T, and Kevin Nash declaring themselves the Main Event Mafia.
That was a good stable. That was a really good stable
as well. Back respect and taking back the business from those youngsters. To combat this, Styles and Samoa Joe, they're not friends, aligned to form the TNA Frontline. Scott Steiner would end up siding with the Mafia instead of the Frontline and got names like Rhino, Team 3D, Christopher Daniels, Petey Williams, ODB, yes, a female representative, and quite a few others. It was mainly Rhino, Joe, and Styles at the forefront. A few months after the formation of the Main Event Mafia, they took out Styles and quote-unquote injured him for a grand total of 17 days before his big comeback at the Against All Odds pay-per-view. And his role there? Stealing Booker T's Legends Championship before eventually winning it himself. It's got to be one of the rare instances where a superstar stole a title and won it too. No, this wasn't like a cash-in situation. After failed attempts at becoming the TNA World Champion, Samoa Joe would turn on him during one of the attempts to align himself with the Mafia.
That was stupid. That was really stupid. It didn't make
salt
sense.
to the wound, Big Daddy Cool, not so cool, Kevin Nash won the Legends title from AJ as well.
Yes.
That's right. Just when you thought AJ was going to get back on top, he gets kicked back down.
Yep.
Around the summer of 2009, the Main Event Mafia story reached its conclusion, with Kurt Angle eventually changing his mind about younger talent while Booker T left TNA altogether. Reportedly around this time, Styles contemplated retirement, only for Sting to talk him out of it by telling him that he wanted to pass the torch to the Phenomenal One. In what turned out to be a touching gesture at the No Surrender event, Sting intentionally didn't pin Kurt Angle, allowing Styles to capture the TNA World Championship for the first time in his career.
Great moment.
This was the TNA World title. Yeah, weird booking scenario aside, that was one of the defining moments of TNA's incredible stretch before its downfall as fans celebrated a true original becoming a world champion. The cracks were there for TNA overall, but they weren't exactly showing. In response to Sting's selfless move, Styles awarded him a title shot at the Bound for Glory pay-per-view that year, where Styles solidified himself above everyone else by defeating the Icon right down the middle. He went on to have a series of successful defenses, even having a triple threat rematch against Samoa Joe and
that was really
Daniels.
Good too. I enjoyed that match too.
The next major chapter is when he retained against the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle with the help of Ric Flair. This wasn't the usual Styles we were used to. He was turning heel and becoming the new Nature Boy. They were trying to literally add flair to the Styles performer.
It honestly didn't make sense, y'all.
But some criticized for simply just not having a tangible character that maybe mainstream fans could sink their teeth into. Flair, now teaching Styles how to be the new dirtiest player in the game on numerous occasions, would help him retain the world title with interference and even paying off a referee. After defenses against Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, Abyss, and Elijah Burke, now going by the name D'Angelo Dinero, he lost the title to Rob Van Dam.
Another ex-WWE guy.
This was a strong time for TNA overall. They had some new management, some new people wanted to bet on some new names, but that didn't mean that Styles wouldn't be featured. He would have Flair with him form a new group dubbed Fortune. The successors
Fortune
to the
was
Four
pretty good
Horsemen.
too. Fortune was really good too.
Fortune.
It had a lot of potential.
Four-part. Styles would lead the group along with Flair. Joining them would be Frankie Kazarian, James Storm, and Robert Roode. And their first order of business was to drive EV 2.0, the ECW originals, out of TNA. Although they had a series of singles wins on their side and the addition of Matt Morgan to their group, they lost the Lethal Lockdown match to the ECW originals before teasing a feud against another group, the Hulk Hogan-led group Immortal. That's right, at this point, Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff are running TNA. Instead of Fortune going at it with Immortal, well, they aligned.
They joined forces.
Like the corporate ministry and the sight of a 61-year-old Ric Flair and a 57-year-old Hulk Hogan embracing didn't get a lot of love and was something that really just kind of put AJ Styles in the background. It was probably a good foreshadowing of the downfall that TNA were going to suffer in the next of many years. This new coalition managed to beat the ECW originals at Turning Point, sending Sabu out of the company. But Styles' luck took a turn for the worse when Douglas Williams, now a member of the Fortune Group, turned on them and captured the TV championship from the Phenomenal One. Yeah, it was the TV championship, the global championship, but it definitely wasn't the world championship.
So many championship names.
The entire story was a bit of a mess, and it was only a few months later when Fortune finally did turn babyface, taking out Immortal with AJ Styles, declaring that he didn't want Eric Bischoff to do to TNA what he did to WCW by taking it all the way down. Ric Flair was absent during this period because of an injury, and when he returned, he betrayed AJ Styles and Fortune and revealed himself to be aligned with Immortal instead, and throwing stuff. Woo! Styles would be sidelined for a month, courtesy of a Bully Ray powerbomb from an extreme height. He would return at the 2011 edition of the Lockdown event to help Fortune beat Immortal. For a brief period, he was into it with Bully Ray and Tommy Dreamer for a little while, trading wins between all three of them, and eventually losing a last man standing match to Bully Ray. Despite coming off on the losing end, he went after the TNA World title once again, this time against Bobby Roode, falling short every time. With Frankie Kazarian ditching AJ Styles, it put an end to the Fortune story as we knew it. Oh, it gets even better. On paper, a
Claire
three-way
Lynch.
feud
Here we
with
go.
Christopher Daniels. Okay, that's worked before. Let's add in Frankie Kazarian. This could get interesting for AJ Styles. No, he's accused of having an affair with the then president of the company, Dixie Carter. Why? We did this a few years earlier and it wasn't that good. You can see the quality of the storylines rapidly deteriorating here. And it's no coincidence. TNA was in the midst of a big crash when they still have seemingly never fully recovered from. They're still a strong number 2 company behind WWE, but they are very much number 2 at a far, far distance. AJ is supposed to be one of their top guys, and he doesn't feel like it. Even with the official rebranding of TNA to Impact Wrestling, things didn't change too much. But what did change was AJ getting another major ally in the form of Kurt Angle. They won the tag team titles at Slammiversary.
Yeah, they did.
But wait, there's another twist. Remember AJ Styles and the Dixie Carter affair thing we mentioned a few seconds ago? Well, it turns out they were actually taking a drug-addicted pregnant woman overcome her demons. How noble, and it even makes no sense whatsoever. Why were AJ Styles and Dixie Carter, who were work colleagues, taking care of a pregnant woman together to cover up a previous lie? Christopher Daniels said that Styles and Dixie left out one important detail, that AJ Styles was the father of this woman whose name was Claire Lynch, and she had a baby, and it's... What? To earn the right to make Claire take a paternity test, we gotta have a match, right? AJ Styles had to defeat Christopher Daniels in a last man standing match at Destination X. We're gonna find out who the baby's father is.
It was still a great last man standing match.
Did Maury Povich book this? The results revealed that Claire wasn't pregnant at all. No, she faked her pregnancy as a plot with Christopher Daniels, because he's evil, to blackmail AJ. That still doesn't explain why he and Dixie Carter were taking care of her. None of it made any sense. Either way, Angle and Styles lost their titles back to Kazarian and Daniels in between, and they failed to regain him, and it just... This was really bad.
Yep.
After failing to become the number 1 contender for the world title, he lost to Christopher Daniels and maybe lost his smile. He began a rivalry with Angle after not revealing whether he was a part of the new formidable faction Aces and Eights. And everyone needed to know who was in that faction. And AJ was wearing a leather jacket, and they wear leather jackets. Hey, are you with those bad dudes? We need to know. Although he would lose to Kurt Angle at Slammiversary, he opted not to join Aces and Eights and was done with the whole faction thing to begin with, because it didn't work before. Earning a spot at the Bound for Glory tournament, he went on to win it and defeat Bully Ray to become the TNA World Champion again. Revived? AJ's back? He's phenomenal? But this time, there was a problem. Styles and TNA were in renegotiation stages, and it played out on screen with the Phenomenal One getting into a rivalry with Dixie Carter, wrestling as the world champion without a contract. Somewhat intriguing. Okay, they got something here. The result of it would be the world title.
Yeah, they kind of copied the Summer Punk right there.
Now known as SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis, winning a tournament to crown a new champion. AJ Styles returned to have a unification match with Magnus, and an interference infestation of nearly 10 superstars saw Magnus unify the titles for good.
Yep.
This would mark the unfortunate end of AJ Styles' 12-year run with TNA.
Yes, it did.
The real-life situation of him having a contract negotiation played out in a very, very messy ending. The falling out backstage saw Dixie Carter offer AJ Styles the TNA original who carried the promotion on his shoulders and became Mr. TNA, a contract that was reportedly 60% reduced salary.
Yeah.
This was according to Styles himself. It's not difficult to understand why Styles was not happy with this. In his own words, when you become loyal to one company for that long, you should be getting a big pay raise, not a pay cut. Thankfully for Styles, the departure was a blessing in disguise, as he made the jump to New Japan Pro Wrestling and became a two-time IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, lighting the world on fire at the Tokyo Dome. Also establishing himself as one of the biggest international stars in wrestling at the time, and one of the undisputed top wrestlers in the entire business. Oh yeah, and there was this whole thing called the Bullet Club. According to AJ himself, Dixie was a lot more keen on using the established ex-WWE stars than pushing them over younger, lesser-known names like himself, who were the foundation of the company. And nobody built the foundation of TNA the way AJ Styles did. TNA's loss was AJ Styles' gain. In the end, he would sign with WWE and have that massive debut at the Royal Rumble. Quickly became one of the favorites, maybe even a franchise player for WWE, where if you told me that 20 years ago, I don't know if I would have believed you. The fact that he's actively referred to as one of the best in-ring performers of his generation in WWE and has won every major title there shows you everything you need to know. But don't let the backstage bitterness and drama deter you from a period in TNA where Styles' career truly shined. Because whether anybody admits it or not, TNA is the biggest reason why AJ Styles became who he is. One of the best in the world. What's your favorite AJ Styles match or angle? Let us know in the comments below.
TNA and Dixie Carter, they truly never understand AJ Styles. They never trusted him. Like the problem with Dixie Carter was that she always, like AJ Styles said, she will always favor the established ex-WWE guys or ex-WCW guys over the homegrown talent. She basically did not see them as future talent. She didn't see them as the guys. So it just goes to show you how Dixie Carter was not a really good businesswoman. How she did not know anything about wrestling, and that was a problem. Like Dixie Carter was awful. She did not know anything about wrestling, but at the same and also what the blow to TNA, in my opinion, that led to one of the biggest downfalls was losing AJ Styles. Even though TNA was still losing viewers, they were still not the TNA it used to be. They still had AJ Styles on their roster, and if you had AJ Styles in your roster, that's how fans kept watching it in TNA or Impact Wrestling, was because AJ Styles was still on the show. But when the rumors came out that AJ Styles was leaving, At first I was like, that's not true. That he's staying with TNA. He's TNA for life. He's TNA for life. But when the news came out that Dixie Carter and TNA gave AJ a contract, excuse me, with 60% pay cut, 60% reduced salary, I was like, why would you do that to the guy that pretty much carried the entire company on his back for y'all? And to do that to him, to do that to AJ Styles, the face of TNA Wrestling, the franchise player of your company, of that company, you're gonna do that to him? Like, once again, Dixie Carter, Dixie Carter and TNA, they did not understand AJ Styles. They truly did not understand AJ Styles. They didn't get him. They did not see him as the face of TNA Wrestling. Simple as that. I'm very happy AJ Styles is doing really great right now in WWE. He's easily one of the best in the world. Like, even though AJ Styles right now cannot do the moves he used to do back in the day, he still puts on really great matches, and he's still a top 10 one of the greatest wrestlers in the world, without a doubt. One of my personal favorites of all time. So shout to AJ Styles here. This is a really great video by Sports Killer. You know, shout out to Sports Killer. I'm gonna subscribe to the channel. Be sure y'all subscribe to the channel as well. So yeah, this was a really great video. This is your boy JPTHEGLOVE74. If you like this video, please make sure you hit that comment down below, hit that like button, and also subscribe to my channel for more wrestling content. This is JPTHEGLOVE74 signing off. I hope you guys have a really great day. God bless y'all. Peace.